El gobierno de México está obligado a dar atención consular a todas y a todos los mexicanos que lo soliciten, pero particularmente a mexicanas y mexicanos cuyo único delito es trabajar en los Estados Unidos.
America, a sitting foreign president, just described a man who federal prosecutors say tried to drive a van into an ICE officer as somebody whose only crime is working honestly. Then announced her government is filing criminal charges against the agents involved. In American courts, the country that spent decades sending us the problems now wants to prosecute the people that showed up to stop it.
Mexico's Foreign Minister Robert Velasco says they will file criminal charges in the U.S. for multiple cases. Velasco says 3 Mexican nationals died during ICE operations.
What is up, guys? Tyson, DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. July 7th, Canal Street. In the Magnolia Park neighborhood in East Houston, Texas, a heavily Latino community built around construction workers. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, 52 years old, in the United States for 35 years. He owned a construction company building homes in North Houston. His son, Ronaldo, a teacher, University of Houston graduate, described a man with a strict morning routine. Pet the dog, goodbye, kiss his wife, go to work, sit on the porch, watch the sunset when he got back. His wife was his high school sweetheart from Mexico. That apparently is the real man, and his death is absolutely real. And I'm starting here on purpose here. Here's what the Department of Homeland Security says happened that morning. ICE agents, that's the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the federal agency responsible for arresting people in the country illegally, received a credible tip about a target in the area. They spotted a white van matching their description. They initiated a vehicle stop. According to DHS, Salgado Araujo ignored repeated verbal commands. See, that's where you mess up. Ignoring verbal commands. Then, get this, you guys, he weaponized his vehicle. Those are the agent's exact words here. In an attempt to run over an agent, the officer fired in self-defense. We've seen this before. Salgado Araujo was hit, taken to the hospital with CPR in progress, and he died.
He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be reduced to a headline of Mexican man shot and killed by ICE. He deserved to live a quiet life as Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, a husband, a father, and a job creator for dozens of men who also wanted the American dream.
His family's account is a little bit different. His son, Ronaldo, said his father had no criminal record in 35 years. The vehicle ICE used were unmarked. Ronaldo believes that his father, a construction business owner who constantly worried about his tools being stolen, may have thought that he was getting robbed and he tried to escape. You're not in Mexico. The cartel is not trying to arrest you here like that in full tactical gear, okay? Not knowing that these were federal agents. LULAC, the League of United Latino American Citizens, a civil rights organization, said bystander photos show no visible front-end damage to the van that would suggest that it was driven into somebody. I just want to place this in perspective for everybody. You would have to drive your car really fast to hit somebody to place a dent in the vehicle. A person weighs significantly less than a vehicle. And if you're just kind of speeding off like that, you're not going to dent the vehicle or damage the vehicle anything. Everybody's demanding video evidence here. There is no body cam footage. 2 investigations are open. DHS's own internal watchdog office and Houston's local prosecutors here. And you're probably asking yourself, why no cameras? DHS explained the body cam rollout for ICE field officers has stopped. The specific cause of this was the back-to-back government shutdowns that the Democrats actually forced, halting DHS funding and interrupting the purchasing process of equipment, quoted from a DHS spokesperson. The Secure America Act passed more recently, finally funding the rest of the rollout. Remaining field officers get cameras within 60 days. The body cam gap is absolutely real because a defunded department, and those are 2 different conversations here. 2 days after the shooting, Sheinbaum went to a press conference and announced what Mexico was doing about it. Mexico, you guys.
Sí, la pretensión con esto es que se realicen investigaciones por parte de las fiscalías. Y como señaló la presidenta, la idea es pasar de la vía diplomática a ir directamente ante las fiscalías para solicitar que se realicen investigaciones ya no solamente por parte del Departamento de Estado, por parte del Departamento de Seguridad Interior, sino directamente por la vía penal.
Let me walk you through what Mexico is actually demanding piece by piece here. First, a criminal complaint filed with American prosecutors, not Mexican prosecutors, American ones, asking them to open up a criminal investigation into ICE agents in 17 separate cases. 14 Mexican nationals who died in ICE custody, 3 more who died during arrest operations. Houston case, 17, it's on the list. Secondly, civil lawsuits against the private companies that operate U.S. immigration detention centers. And third, ongoing complaints with the Inter-America Commission on Human Rights. That is basically a body run by the Organization of American States that reviews civil rights complaints across the Western Hemisphere. And the United States is a member of it, so it's standing to file there. The commission can investigate and publish findings. It cannot, absolutely cannot compel anything. And it has no power to enforce its recommendations against a member nation that chooses not to comply. Fourth, escalation with the United Nations. Same situation, non-binding, political pressure, no legal compulsion here. And this comes after Mexico had already filed 11 separate diplomatic protest notes with the U.S. government over ICE-related deaths before the Houston shooting actually even happened. And here's what I need you to understand about the U.S. prosecutors' route specifically here. American prosecutors, let me rewind that so everybody hears that. American prosecutors, the people Velasco says they're going directly to, are not obligated to charge their own agents because Mexico sent them a letter. A foreign government cannot direct American criminal law. Okay? American prosecutors have full and complete discretion over what they investigate and what they charge. Mexico filing a complaint does not open up a case. It does not generate a subpoena. It does not require any response here. It generates a piece of mail. An independent review of the Houston shooting is a reasonable ask here. Anytime that a federal agent uses deadly force, there actually should be a review. 2 separate investigations are actually already happening. DHS's own watchdog and local Houston prosecutors, that process absolutely should be run. Ronaldo's account of what his father believed that were unmarked vehicles meant robbery. So immediately his father thought that he was getting robbed for some tools, not law enforcement, is not an unreasonable thing for a man in a neighborhood or that neighborhood specifically to think. It is a legitimate factual question for investigators to review. That is not the argument that Sheinbaum made, okay? She did not say investigate this incident because we have questions about what actually happened. She said the man's only crime was working honestly. She built her complaint on the version of events that removed the alleged vehicle assault on federal agents and officers entirely. That is not investigation caution here. That is a choice about which facts to include and which ones to actually erase here. And the case built on the edited version has a specific problem. It only works if you leave out the part that makes it defensible to use force. She left that out, obviously. The Houston prosecuting attorney is obviously not going to leave that out. Mexico filed 11 diplomatic protest notes about ICE enforcement, citing sovereignty. Sheinbaum demanded accountability when American agents acted on American soil. Same year, different situation.
Nuestro pésame a las familias de elementos que el día de ayer perdieron la vida y nuestro mayor reconocimiento. El pueblo de México debe sentirse muy orgulloso de nuestras Fuerzas Armadas y del gabinete de seguridad que tenemos. Es importante que sepan que se mantiene de todas maneras el día de hoy un centro de mando, una coordinación nacional, en donde está el secretario, están los 3 secretarios, sus equipos, la Secretaría de Gobernación para estar en coordinación con todos los gobiernos de los estados.
25 Mexican National Guard members, her own military, Mexico's own military, were killed in a cartel offense. The Sinaloa and CJNG cartels, the organizations responsible for most of the fentanyl entering in the United States, set up 250 roadblocks across 20 Mexican states simultaneously. The United States offered military assistance to help address it. Sheinbaum response was, "It's not necessary." Her words on camera actually documented, okay? America helped fighting the cartels killing her own guards, not necessary. American courts prosecuting American federal agents for enforcing American immigration law. Now that is something that Claudia Sheinbaum deems absolutely necessary. Both positions use the word sovereignty. Only one of those positions makes the cartels nervous. The cameras are on, just like in Seattle, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. When the cameras are on, the performance outrage begins. That is the policy here. Sheinbaum publicly thanked the CIA cooperation in February. By April, her administration had opened up a formal investigation into CIA operations on Mexican soil, publicly attacking what she privately actually needs. The cameras are the entire policy. This is the same move here. 11 protest notes the week the cameras were actually on ice. The door slammed on American military to help the week that the cameras were elsewhere.
But isn't a big part of the problem that President Lopez Obrador and now President Sheinbaum, thank you for correcting me, by the way, live in the right front pocket of the Mexican drug cartels?
Kennedy put it all on the table here. The diplomat disagreed. So let me do the math for you here. 70,000 Americans a year die from fentanyl overdoses. The cartel who produces and moves that fentanyl operate out of a country whose president just filed a criminal complaint against the agents working to actually stop it. Every time ICE agents are put on public defense, investigated, accused, publicly named as defendants, the enforcement environment gets significantly harder to operate in. When enforcement gets harder, the supply chain obviously has the opportunity to move more freely. Sheinbaum refused U.S. military help to address the cartel networks killing her own soldiers and people. She filed 11 protest notes about the federal agents those cartel networks would prefer to be constrained. Convenient how that works, isn't it? The math here, you guys, does not require a motive. It simply just requires a calculator. Now, the legal architecture here, because Mexico is operating on assumption that there is somewhere to take this case, and believe it or not, there actually isn't, okay? 5 days before the Houston shooting, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche sent a formal letter to the International Criminal Court, the international tribunal based in the Netherlands. Here are his words. Go ahead and pop them up on screen here. The United States is not a party to Rome statutes and has never consented to the ICC's authority. As a matter of international law, a treaty cannot bind a non-consenting country. Accordingly, the ICC has no jurisdiction over Americans anywhere in the world, and any attempt to assert such authority is illegitimate, unlawful, and indirect affront to the sovereignty of the United States. Mexico went to the IACHR and the United States prosecutors, not the ICC specifically here. Those are two different bodies. The principle that Blanche established actually covers all of them. American law enforcement answers to American law. Duh. The American Service Members Protection Act, passed by Congress in 2002, explicitly prohibits the United States from cooperating with international courts regarding American service members, government officials, and civilians. It has been federal law for 24 years. It authorizes the president to use, quote unquote, all means necessary to secure and release any American held by an international body. Here is the part that connects everything here. Mexico's legal complaint needs a U.S. prosecutor willing to charge American agents who answer to American law and American voters, or an international body with enforcement power. There isn't one. Or a court with actual jurisdiction over American domestic law enforcement. Believe it or not, there isn't one for that either. What Mexico filed was not a lawsuit. It is a document designed to be covered in the press, in the lamestream media, a press conference prosecution, if you would. The goal is not to get a courtroom verdict. It is to get headlines that say specifically that ICE is under investigation. That headline does exactly what the 250 roadblocks were designed to protect. It constrains the people whose job is to interrupt the cartel supply chain. Sheinbaum said he died for working honestly. She built that statement by removing the alleged attack on the American officer. The American prosecutor who has to file that, obviously they're not going to remove that. The American legal system that she's trying to weaponize against agents who actually work inside of it, believe it or not, and surprisingly, Miss Claudia Sheinbaum, they answer to America. America, Sheinbaum described a man who prosecutors say tried to drive his van into a federal officer as somebody whose only crime was working honestly. She left out the alleged attempted murder to build the actual complaint. The Houston prosecutors did not. 25 of her own guards killed by the cartels. American help is not necessary. One ICE operation. American courts must prosecute American agents. The legal bodies that she's running to have no power to force American cooperation. The DOJ established that in writing 5 days before the Houston shooting. The law Congress passed to back it up has been in the books since 2002. Come and take them to court. Find the court that has jurisdiction. We'll be here. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.